This is Economy Watch, what you need to know about New Zealand's economic life today. Brought to you by interest.co.nz.
Kia ora, and welcome to Friday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz, and today we lead with news all about American GDP and reactions to its first quarter results. US economic activity expanded at an annualised 1.6% rate in the first quarter of 2024 compared to 3.4% in the prior quarter and below forecasts of 2.5%. It was their slowest growth since the contractions in the first half of 2022. There are two more revisions due, and in the fourth quarter 2023 set, they rose with each revision. The result was held back by a decrease in inventories and a rise in imports. However, disposable personal income rose an impressive 4.5% in today's release. However, the PCE data released with this shows inflationary pressures unabated. So the US 10-year Treasury note yield rose above 4.7% and its highest since November as traders scaled back their expectations regarding the timing of a Fed rate reduction, with the first cut now not priced in fully until December. We should note that lower growth with still high inflation equals stagflation, a gnarly public policy problem as history shows. Further, today's US Treasury 10-year bond auction reveals median yields rose to 4.47% in yet another well-supported offer. That was 37 basis points higher than the prior equivalent event a month ago. But it does seem curious that the secondary market prices these at 4.7%, especially when demand is so strong in the primary market. Meanwhile, the number of initial US jobless claims fell to just 201,000, a bigger than expected retreat, and the second lowest weekly level in the past 13 years. That means there are now 1.82 million people on these benefits, the lowest since mid-December. And US mortgage applications fell rather sharply last week, down 2.7% from a week prior, and now are 15% lower than the same week a year ago. So it will be a surprise to know that the March pending home sales rose 3.4% from February, although they are virtually unchanged from a year ago. New orders for durable goods surged by 2.6% in March from February in the US, following a downwardly revised 0.7% growth in February. The March rise was more than expected, but the year-on-year change is still a negative 2.2%. It was their largest monthly advance in durable goods orders since last November, primarily propelled by robust demand for transport equipment. Orders for non-defence capital goods rose too. And Canada released its retail sales data for February, and in real inflation-adjusted terms they fell 0.3%. All eyes are now turning to the Bank of Japan, which is meeting today. They have important policies to balance regarding rising inflation and expanding the economy, but a currency that has been depreciated in US dollar terms, the one relationship that motivates them. But then many countries are struggling with a rising US dollar at present. In China, the Shanghai prime office vacancy rate has hit a 20-year high at over 20% vacant. That is a lot of spare capacity, and it will worry policymakers that it is continuing to swell. In Australia, Warren Hogan, who was ranked 2023's most accurate economic forecaster, predicts that their rising economy will force the RBA to lift rates to 5.1% this year. He is an outlier, but part of a growing cohort of analysts who don't see inflation beaten yet and the economic expansion just rolling on in many of the world's major economies, along with its pressures. Better income expectations, economic prospects, and a rising propensity to buy among consumers has shifted the German GfK Consumer Climate Indicator to its highest reading in 2 years. Well, actually, its least negative reading in 2 years. But they will take that progress. And we should note that copper prices have surged recently and now top $10,000 a tonne, and that's its highest since April 2022. It's now only 6% below the all-time high, also in 2022. Global container freight rates were unchanged last week, on average, making them 55% higher than year-ago levels. Bulk cargo rates fell 4.9% in the past week, but they remain little changed from long-run averages. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now at 4.7% and up 10 basis points from this time yesterday, and that's its highest level since late October 2023. And the price of gold will start today a little firmer, up $7 from Wednesday at $2,333 an ounce. And oil prices are a little changed from Wednesday to just under $83.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is still just over $87.50 a barrel. But in between, it has been volatile. And the Kiwi dollar starts little change at just under 59.5 US cents, against the Aussie we're a quarter cent softer at 91.3 Australian cents. Against the euro we're little change to 55.4 euro cents. That all means our trade weighted index starts today at just on 69.1 and unchanged from Wednesday. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $64,762 and down 3% from this time Wednesday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been modest, however, just on plus or minus 1.6%. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, and you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again on Monday.